Okay, so you saw in my last video I had my Ruger SR22 rifle receiver bead blast and polished. Wanted to build a stainless Ruger 1022, and in the last run and gun I was using a AR-15 that had the conversion kit in it, and I kind of resolved that for that style of shooting, my recreational run and gun kind of stuff, I really just guess that I'm coming to the conclusion that I prefer to have my sight as low to the bore as I can. I just want the travel of the bullet to be just under my sights, and the Ruger 1022 factory sights accomplish that so well. So I'm going to build a nice little run and gun setup here for the next run and gun. Go over the components that I'm going to be using. So as I stated before, got my polished Ruger SR22 rifle receiver with the trigger pins and buffer pin. I have a Kid single stage enhanced trigger guard with the bigger trigger guard on it, and this trigger group breaks at 1.5 pounds. I've got my adjustable springs so I can tune the charging handle, and I have the 762 pattern for the charging handle, and that's a stainless. I'm going to be using a BX15 round magazine. I really like the reliability of these magazines, and I like the way they look in this classic style rifle setup. I'm going to be using a factory synthetic stock with the Ruger 1022 Laser Max red dot laser that acts as the barrel band. Got a set of factory V-block and V-block screws and my takedown screw. Got some filler screws to fill the holes in my SR22 rifle receiver. That did not come with the rifle receiver because that was the SR22 rifle, and that had the tactical stock on it from Nordic Components. Got a 22-inch stainless barrel that I purchased on eBay. Got a scalloped black bolt from Kid. Got some Kid lubricating oil to toss it all together in. So let's go ahead and get started. Set everything off to the side here. I'm going to start by putting my barrel into my receiver. Now, some aftermarket and some factory barrels are going to have a little more effort than what you just saw me do. Because this had a black coating inside and out, when the coating was removed, it ever so slightly increased the dimension of this opening here. And that makes for a nice little installation. There's not much of any kind of like back and forth, up and down movement. It just slides in. It could be a little more tight or of a tolerance, which is, I suppose, what would have been like. That's what it would have been like if I wouldn't have removed the black material, black coating. But I like that I don't have to sand or beat on this thing to get it in. I can just put it right in there, and it fits very nicely. So let's visually try and square up the barrel so it looks like it's going to be incorrectly, not incorrect. Let's get our screws put in place here. I am using a 5/32 ball driver to get them started, and then to snug them up I'm going to use an Allen key. Check it out, make sure everything looks straight. It looks pretty good to me. So the threads on the receiver are, you know, they're not the hardest material, so you don't need to break any world records by cranking down on this super hard. All you need to do is snug it up. Alright, like that. So, good there. Next, let's get our charging handle installed. I really like that pattern. And as is pretty common with most of my builds with these variable adjustable springs here, you've got different spring tensions. I like the lightest weight. Now, most of the time I like that because I use most of my 1022s as suppressor host. You can see this is not threaded, so this will not be a suppressor host, but I kind of like that lighter spring tension anyway. So, let's remove my pins here so I can get my trigger group and charging handle in. And then we'll put our bolt in. So let's pull this back. Set this in. And there we go. So let's take and put the buffer pin in. Now I have purchased just gobs and gobs of these triggers here. I think that if you're going to go with a stainless trigger, a lot of them are just like $175 to get a complete trigger group. And in my opinion, if you're going to spend 175 bucks, why not spend another 25 and get something really nice like the Kid single action trigger group. So let's set that into place there. Put our cross pins in. Go. Do a function test there. Check that. Just make sure that locks up good. Alright. Take and put a little bit of oil. Release that. A little bit more oil here. All right. Let's take and install this in the factory stock here. Put your safety halfway between safe and fire. Drop that down, get it to hook in. Let's get our takedown screw. Get that started. There's lots of stock options out there, but for a tapered barrel you want to use the factory iron sights. I just really like the way that this stock feels, especially the black contrast. Alright, that's drawn up well. Let's take our Laser Max 2 screws, your adjustment, installation, so on and so forth. Alright, pull this off. Get that lined up correctly. Rotate it around and slide that on like that. Take our flathead and draw that up. Flip this around. Alright, give that a test. Yep, light works. .15 round BX-15 magazine. Take and put our stainless screws in the top of the receiver here. Because I am using a Ruger SR22 receiver, this little thing started here. I'm taking great care not to cross thread it. So I don't care how long it takes as long as it doesn't get cross threaded. But because this was a Ruger SR22 rifle, it came with the Ruger SR22 rifle stock. And the rifle stock did not make it necessary for filler screws to be included. And even if they would have been, the receiver was black coated, so they would have been black, and since I buffed and polished this receiver, I wanted stainless filler screws. So I ordered these online, got them on eBay. They were like maybe 12 bucks shipped for the 4 screws. Might be a little excessive for 4 itty bitty screws, but you know, that's fine. But I will caution you that I have purchased filler screws that they were so inexpensively made, that one lined up faster, that I could not get them to thread in without tearing the top material of the flathead section completely apart as I was trying to thread it in. I would just cut right through the top of the screw slot, and it was a nightmare. I couldn't get them to go in, and I would mar up the finish. I'd tear up the top of the screw. So there are some very cheap screws. I would not go for necessarily the cheapest screw you can find on eBay. Now these screws here, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show them to you very well. Let me see if I can get it to seem to kind of taper out just a touch at the top, and that might assist in keeping them in place where it bites down a little more as you get it drawn in. There we go. So what I'm doing is I've got a wider flathead, still pretty small, but I'm using that to help me stay straight and give me all of the torque I need. And then once I get down to it's almost set, I get a smaller screw so they don't scratch the top of the receiver. Get a smaller screwdriver, so. And then I'll just try and take it the rest of the way down. And as you can see, as it gets further down here, it's a little harder twisting. May not be able to do that this one. And it kind of bites down a little more into those threads. Maybe using the receiver to cut threads into the rest of the screw, thereby keeping it nice and secure into the receiver. You could also use Loctite if you wanted to. Since these are just filler screws, I don't anticipate it being an issue. It's good to verify that your screws are not obstructing the path of travel of your bolt. Pretty boring stuff watching a guy turn screws into the top of a 1022 receiver. Bravo to you if you have stayed tuned this long. That looks good. It all feels pretty good. I'm not really catching anything across the top here. Alright, so those all lined up very well. Filled those threads in. Okay, and there it is, all assembled. I really like the stainless look of this rifle here. So the things that are most important to me aesthetically is that I can drag this across gravel and I'm not going to remove the color of this black. This polymer, this plastic is black completely through all the material. So I can scratch it and it's not going to show steel underneath the black coating. I can scratch this receiver and it's not going to show another color. Same with the barrel and the trigger group. It just, everything on this, I can think of, well, I guess the sights maybe. So with the exception of the sights, you know, this is all pretty scratch proof. It's not going to show another color under the layer of the color that it is on the outside. And I like that about my rifles. I like to be able to clean it up and make it look exactly like new once it's done. And then again, with the performance of having the sights so low to the bore, I'm really excited about that. And you know, all these, I've always liked the trigger, the bolt, the charging handle, the BX-15 magazine. I do have an appreciation for this laser. I don't think that it's completely capable at long distances, but it is kind of a nice reference in low light conditions. So this is a really nice fun build that I'm going to hopefully use for the next run and gun. It seems like I'll build something and then get sidetracked on something else and do it in a different direction, and hopefully in the next couple months this will be used at the next run and gun. Time will tell. So, alright, well, fun building 1022s. It's a big world out there, and we're bound to run into a shady situation. Until then, keep your gear on you.